Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Shunting Yard Live with myself, James. We've got Rob, we've got Hilton, we've got Dan. The four of us are in the house together. Say hello, everybody.
Whoop, whoop.
Hiya.
Hey guys.
How are we all? How's everybody doing? That's
Pretty
you
good.
guys, not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
chat, you guys.
Oh,
We've got an order, guys. We've got an order. Come on, let's stick to it. Okay, it goes
We're all
Rob, Dan, me.
There we go. Rob, how's it going?
I'm good. Glad to be back. It's good to be back on the live stream, and it's good to be back in the loft finally after like a week. It's just great to be surrounded by hobby again, and I'm looking forward to talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's been a good long while. Dan, how's it going?
I'm fat and sassy.
As all things should be. As all things should be.
Hilton?
Yourself?
I'm better. I've been better, but I'm better.
How's the limp?
Yeah, it's there. 34 is no joke, man. Suddenly things just stop breaking, like your legs when you're in your model railway room. So super embarrassing. You just move on.
Just get past it.
Hilton, it's probably just better to say you took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah, I did absolutely. I got hit by a taxi in Joburg. So, yeah.
Oh dear, no, that's not good. Well, it's lovely to have all of you here. It's been 2 weeks. I'm sorry about last week. Could not do anything about it. And these three know what they're doing without me. So you just have to deal with it, unfortunately. But that has changed. As you can tell, we're using a completely different software. I want to thank all of you guys that were here on Sunday to give us a little bit of a test. I think it was quite successful. We've had a bit of a discussion in between, and I think we're going to stick with this for now, and we'll just see where it goes from there. But if you do have any issues, just reach out to us, let us know, and we'll try and tweak it from there. Yes, I know Nightbot is being a bit of an idiot. He is learning, bless him. I will sort that out. It's his first night. It's his first night. He needs to get used to it. Bless him. Anyway,
Given that's his name.
Anyway, so first proper change. We're not going to talk anything proper news like, but I think we want to call out one or two highlights of things that have been noted in the last few weeks. So, Hill, I'm going to steal the show with this unless you want to. I don't know what reading you've done
fine.
on this. But I only have one call out for this week, and it's the Model Centre Pretty in Pink for Wessex Railways. I think it's a grand release. It looks cool. Yeah, you can't go wrong with it. So they've got a Class 31-6, the Mayor of Casterbridge in a Wessex train pack, and several Mark IIs. It's being produced by Bachmann and being sold by the Model Centre exclusively, if I understand. I believe it usually ran as a 3-car rather than a 4-car specifically, and then there was occasionally another Class 31 on the back with a completely different livery. But yeah, it looks great if that's what you model, and I think that was the most outspoken, outright thing for me this week.
Very pretty.
It is quite pretty, isn't it?
It's the second 31 that TMC have had an exclusive for.
Yeah.
I think the first one was Minotaur.
Yes.
And I mean, this is very pink. It's cool. Actually, I love it. I mean, if I modeled that side of town, I certainly would be interested. But yeah, not for me. But really, really nice. Really excited to see it.
Yeah, it's really good to see. I think it only ran from Bristol down to originally it ran from Bristol down to the coast, so south coast, but it was then it was seen going further north. But I think for me it's the pricing of the coaching is a little bit heavy. I know it's an exclusive and we have to give it that exclusive right, I get that, but it's a little bit heavy for me. 80.95 with an RRP down from 89.95.
Is that for 2 coaches?
No, that's a single coach.
What?
It's a single coach. It's not for so for a single tourist second open is 80.95, and that's without lighting. That's not DCC fitted. It's 98.95 DCC fitted with lights.
That's disgusting.
It's extortion. And then you've got classic. You've got classic Bachmann prices. You've got classic Bachmann prices for the locos themselves. So you're looking at 180 for DCC ready, 278, 279-ish for sound fitted, and 324 for sound fitted deluxe. So you're paying an extra 80 odd quid for a fan, if I remember the Bachmann's deluxe.
The thing is, it's going to be created in a very. I hate to play devil's advocate here. It's going to be created in a very limited run, right?
Of course,
it's
of course.
Very, very scarce, and I suspect it'll become one of those items that, in the long run, becomes quite the collector's item because it'll probably be one run and done. So there's the production fees, the printing fees. They've got to have the whole new design done for all of it. So I kind of understand. I think if you're modeling that area and that's something that you have to have, you'd be prepared to pay that price.
Yeah, but for 30 extra quid, you can get that.
It's just one coach. But it is a coach in O-Gauge, so that's a fair point. All right, fair enough.
yeah. I that's why I wanted to stress that it is exclusive, because you are paying for that exclusivity. That light is right in my face. I'm going to point it that way.
You're going to get sunburn.
I'm going to get I'm going to get taxi elbow in a minute. But yeah, so that's the only highlight from me. Dan, any highlights in Engage this week?
None whatsoever. We did, however, have a birthday in our group.
Oh, we did have a birthday in our group, didn't we, Hilton? Happy birthday.
For those that don't know.
Oh, thanks, guys. Very, very cool. It was really cool seeing you all sing happy birthday, especially Dan in the toilet.
He's 21 again.
If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's on the channel page. You can watch Dan in all of his glory singing in the toilet.
No, it's
still not as embarrassing as trying to speak Afrikaans.
Yeah,
you guys did great. It honestly sounded like you were trying to speak Swedish more than anything else, but you did great.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, that was slightly embarrassing for sure.
We didn't do it in front of people though, so pretty embarrassing ourselves.
Yeah,
it's out there for the whole internet to see now, so don't worry about it.
Damn it.
Rob, you mentioned that there were some exciting things in O-Gauge. Why didn't you let us know what they are?
Yeah, the probably the biggest thing to happen in O-Gauge this week was Dapol's announcement of the the decorated engineering samples of the Class 66. They look absolutely awesome and huge. And considering what you get with them, they are quite cheap as well. I think they said it was going to be just under £600 for a DCC sound locomotive, which isn't bad for a locomotive of its size. I think they're £400 just silent. So you may well see one on my channel at some point, but
I mean,
they do look really
Rob,
good.
To be fair, you could technically just kit bash a shed for £50 and have the same experience.
Right, it's a shed, isn't it?
If it doesn't have sound, I might as well just go down. Might as well just go in the garden and do a review on my own shed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting to see Dapol finally bringing out some big diesels, because Halgen will suddenly realise, hang on a minute, they're doing it better than us. Maybe. I'm not going to put my foot in it just yet, but maybe.
Look, to be fair, I don't know. Competition's a good thing.
It is. That's probably why Dapol haven't attempted a tender engine yet, to be fair, because there's no rush.
Well, this
But
is true.
yeah.
We can hope.
Everyone's terrified of big steamers and O. They're just like, no, it's fine. We'll
That's
just
because the
do
last
diesel.
ones went horribly wrong.
Case in point, A4.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Amazing. And Hilt, I'm guessing nothing major on your end. Do you want to think about? Was it just the Wessex?
It was just kind of the Wessex, to be honest. Watching a lot of videos from Ali Pali looked amazing.
Yeah, Ali Pali did look
Some
amazing.
really, really cool stuff. Looks like everyone had a really good time there. Yeah, nothing on my side.
Yeah, I'm going to ask quickly if anybody in the chat went to Ali Pali. Let us know in the chat here, or even join the Discord. Let us know what your experience was. If you've got any photos, things like that, we'd love to see them. Please share them around with the community. That'd be absolutely amazing. Right, so before we get into the main topic, let's see who we've got in here. So hello, Matt. Thank you very much for joining. We've also got Aaron of Upwell and Onwards. Hello. God, the chaos is going to begin. Double O Duo, thank you very much for joining us. Matt, thank you.
Guys.
It's lovely to see you. Harry at Yorkshire Railways. Hey, how's it going? Derek, welcome. Thank you very much. Annie coming in from the Discord. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. We've got Russell as well. Plenty of people in here. We've got Dimwood Junction in as well. Amazing. Thank you very much to see you all. So, on to today's topic, which is very relevant in my heart, mainly because it's been an absolute pain in my ass. Today we are talking about doing it yourself or buying ready-to-run products, what the pros and cons are of each, and just getting a little bit of background knowledge from each of us on maybe our experiences, our thoughts and feedback, and basically just trying to understand, where we all stand with it. And as always, please pipe up in the chat. Let us know your thoughts, your comments, experiences that you've had, and we will happily discuss them. So I'm going to mix things up a bit today. I am not going to start.
No way.
Oh no!
No, we're going to start.
Because he has so much to say.
We're going to start with Rob. So we're going to go Rob, then Dan, then Hilton, then back to myself. Rob,
well,
where do you
just
want
for
to
the
start?
record, I did zero prep. I must admit,
I'm going to be honest.
coming to 7mm, especially in narrow gauge, as you guys know from listening to me waffle on in the past, there's not much in the way of ready to run. Most things have to be the kit or scratch built. And that's what I love about this scale, believe it or not, is that everything, because with kit builds and scratch builds, you can make them your own. You can make them unique and unique to whatever you want to model on your railway. I mean, I've got my skits over there that I did on the channel not so long ago, and I've painted them in a scheme that matches what I want to do with my layout. Whereas I've got the Linton and Barnstaple stuff, which is ready to run. They're beautiful, but other people have got those as well. It's in terms of rolling stock and things. I prefer as much as it can be quite finicky to have kit built stuff because they can not run as well. Tom Rolt is a good example of that. You make it your own, and you can do whatever you want with it. You can make it prototypical, or you can paint it in a whatever you want. Make it suit you what you want to do. Yeah.
Well,
Totally agree
maybe this is a point where I can push the conversation in a slightly further direction. Let's break it down into the simple things. So we've got locomotives. Let's start with locomotives. That's the big thing. That's what everybody in the hobby is mainly thinking about. So let's think about kit built or scratch built versus ready to run locomotives. What's on offer. There are two equal sides. You've got things that are available, things that are not available in both. So what do you think? What do you think specifically in 7mm? Like about what is currently available and what isn't available? You know, is the variety big enough? You know, is the variety changing when it comes to DIY and opening up spaces?
There are so many different kits in 7mm and in both narrow gauge and standard gauge. Everybody knows what the range is in O gauge. You got Dapol are doing an amazing job at doing all tank engines. There's barely any tender engines, obviously. Loads of diesels from Haldean. In narrow gauge, though, there are only 2 ready to run locomotives, and I've got both of them here. I've got the Quarry Hunslet from Bachmann and the Manning Wardle from Lionheart. Everything else is kit built, but there is a massive library of kits you can get for 7mm in both standard and narrow gauge. I mean, if you go on to say the rails, or a website that I tend to use for my kits is Antics Online. I don't know whether you guys have ever heard of that one, but they have a massive selection of O gauge Pico kits on there. It's literally like 3 web pages full of them, and it's just wagons after wagons and locomotives. I mean, there's a very nice Slater's 2800 which I've been eyeing up until I made the swap to narrow gauge, and that was £550 for a kit, but it had everything in there to build it. But then again, it's one of those things where you're not necessarily going to want to start to do a complicated kit if you don't have any experience, and that's probably what shies people away from kit building, is that they haven't got an experience from it. But whereas I'm sure all of us in this chat can agree, we've come from we've had experience in wargaming. Am I right?
Yeah.
Tabletop wargaming, Warhammer, and these 2 hobbies go hand in hand. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. No, I completely get that. I've just put a link to Antics Online in the chat if anybody is interested in it. But
Yeah,
I think 7mm is a massive space where it seems that kit built stuff is starting to fill in a lot of gaps, especially because of, you know, tender locomotives. It's NG7 coming in, you know, Bachmann have recently opened that rabbit hole, and a lot of people, a lot of individual contributors are starting to make kits for it. You know, I know TRS is doing an NGG 15 at the moment. Is it an NGG 15?
They are doing the Garrett. They are also doing a double fairly, which is on eBay, which I have also got on my watch list, and has maybe tempted me to buy one. And I believe, and there's another guy who's got a mainline Hunslet, which is in the works, which looks awesome as well. But you've got to remember that O gauge is still relatively small compared to, well, not size wise. It's still relatively small in ready to run form, because O gauge is where N gauge was probably 10 years ago. To put it in that perspective, there's so many kits because that's all that people had 10 years ago. There was no ready to run apart from the odd Haldean diesel when they first started. So it's still got that foundation.
Yeah, no, I get that. So I mean I think O is definitely is definitely an up and coming, or at least 7mm is definitely an up and coming thing with DIY stuff. You know, there are a lot of niches that could be filled with it, especially in this day and age of 3D printing and mass manufacturing and things like that. Especially a lot of individual contributors being able to provide for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I just want to plug my sponsor here, CB Models, where he has helped me out with a load of stuff, load of brand new 7mm prints and things that he's also currently doing for me for narrow gauge. So they'll also be coming to the market soon.
Rob,
but yeah,
he made the world's most famous model railway gate, right?
Oh my days! Yeah, tell the chat about that.
What's that? Sorry?
No,
you're real.
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't he make the world's most famous model railway gate?
Yeah. Many of you would have probably seen my latest reel. It's gone semi-viral. Kinda.
Semi. It's viral.
It's just a 10-second like reel of me opening the gates, the newly placed gates on Cadian Gate, and it's got nearly 350,000 views and
What?
2,000 likes.
Ridiculous.
What?
Madness. Yeah,
That's
it went viral.
ridiculous.
I don't know why.
All you're doing is just opening some
Mark
gates.
Zuckerberg smiles upon you, Robert.
But guys, honestly, those gates and that fencing, CB models.
Okay, CV models, perfect. There you go, CV models. All right, let's swiftly move on. So Dan, what about in the world of engaged locomotives? How is it? Is there much in the way of kit built stuff? Is it purely ready to run?
Well, so as Rob had kind of indicated, I kind of came in at the right time. There are actually models being produced for Engage right now, but there are still quite a few of kits floating around out there. And then, with the advent of 3D printing, that's been really big for Engage, just as it has been for all the scales. We still don't have everything that you would expect. Like, we've got a Scotsman. We've got multiple manufacturers of Scotsman. Can't have a model train scale if you don't have 6 companies all making flying Scotsman. We've got Mallard. To talk a little bit about end scale as opposed to end gauge, it's the same thing where we have like 5 manufacturers making their version of Bigboy. And it's, I don't know. There's some stuff you would expect to be able to find, like a modern production coronation class. I believe Farish made one at one point, but Farish's older models just do not look good. I'm sorry. I know they have a special place in some people's hearts, but I'm going to call your baby ugly. They don't look great. I don't know. For me, when I come home, I don't want to have to spend time building a model necessarily. I kind of just want to be able to play with my trains. And I've tried a couple of model buildings. I've tried a couple of rolling stock kits. I haven't done anything locomotive wise. I am planning on eventually attempting a Garrett locomotive, which I just saw Hilton's eyes open up a little bit. But even then, that Garrett is going to require 2 healthy donor locomotives that were ready to run, being the older Farish Black 5. So I've already got one of those. If I can find another one in working condition for a decent price, then I'm in the clear. But I guess that's something we could talk about tonight, is how many of these scratch built kits require you sacrificing a ready to run model, or the flip side of that coin would be, well, maybe you broke one of your ready to run models and now you have the opportunity to do something else with it. So I guess it just depends on what angle you want to come at it from.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll for sure get to that very, very soon. I can imagine. We're getting into the realm of Double O, and in Double O, this happens a lot.
Oh yeah, Double O. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but with very few exceptions, Double O modelers can get just about anything they want within reason, ready to run. If it's not made now, it was made at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, nearly.
Nobody's going to make a leader class for Engage. It's not going to happen.
What's the point?
Don't worry, Dan. After the current leader, we won't be having one in.
If you model GWR, you've got all the GWR 460s now.
Oh, wow. Cool.
I'm missing some of the older ones.
We had. Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Oh, you're talking about Double O guys.
Yeah.
We have them all in modern tool, well, semi-modern tooling. This is great. getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
So would you say that for Engage or N scale, it's very much ready to run at this moment in time, like, or is there still some ability to branch out and do your own kit stuff, even if it's 3D printed brass models, whatever, even if you have to butcher something to do it?
I think the more hardcore people are gonna tend towards the kits, and the more casual folks like me are gonna stay in the shallow side of the pool, the ready to run side.
Without
But-
floaties.
Yeah.
It's an intimidating prospect because I don't have a wargaming background. I played the X-Wing miniatures, but all of those came fully assembled and painted, and I haven't spent nights like you or Rob assembling little Space Marines and meticulously painting every detail onto them. So this is a side of the hobby I have no experience in, really. Yeah.
Just dropped it. There you are. See? God, they look good.
I do have one of my own, but
Arcadia.
someone made it for me.
Oh, cool.
There you go. It's got cobwebs on it.
Oh my god.
God.
It's becoming a
Clean.
Warhammer stream now.
No, we're gonna push off that. We're gonna push off that.
Stay on
No,
target.
I love it. I love it. I don't mind at all.
We'll move on. We'll move on to the major scale, and we have to say it's the major scale because it's the one that's most catered for in both ready to run and kit built, DIY, whatever. So Hilton, I know both of us are probably on the opposite sides of the scale when it comes to ready to run and DIY.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, man. I'm a 21st century modeler. I don't want to build anything. I don't have the time for that. It's just like I think that, kit building, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's a hobby in itself, though.
Yes.
I think it's a complementary hobby to your hobby. So it's something you're prepared to put hours and hours into to perfect it and make it yours, and be able to run it on your layout. I think the reward of doing that in itself is probably 10 times more than receiving a new loco in a box in a ready to run format. So I get why people do it. However, I have seen a lot of kit built logos, for sale. I've never once been tempted to buy a kit built logo.
Interesting.
As a
Don't do it.
ready to run guy, I don't know its history. You can tell me that it's been cared for by, I don't know, it's been on a pillow its entire life. It doesn't matter to me. It's not something that I consider a standard, and as a result, I don't feel like it's up to standard. And that's not like trying to throw shade at whoever's built that model. It's just not. Like, I like uniformity. If I know I'm getting a Bachmann, I'm getting a Bachmann. I don't want a kit-built machine. So I've had a bit of experience with kit-built locos previously, because basically everything in the South African ready-to-run format that is a steam locomotive is a DJH tooling. Now, DJH sold those rights to Precision Miniatures, a company here in South Africa, and they picked up the tooling rights. And don't get me wrong, like that tooling is ancient. It's like from the 60s or something like that. It's piss poor. Like it doesn't work properly. You can't do anything less than like a 4th radius curve on those things because they just short out. Like they cannot make the turn. Also bear in mind, South African engines are fairly long machines. Anyways, it's besides the point. I've had a Garrett. I spent a lot of money getting a Garrett because I love it. Is by far and away my absolute favorite loco, the South African GMAM Garrett. And when I got it, I was super disappointed just because of it was kit built by somebody. It was okay, like the livery and application of the separately fitted parts was all right, but the reality was it just wasn't that clean. It wasn't that crisp. It didn't have that produced feeling, which kind of irritated me. And the second part of it was DC, and because it was a soldered brass body, opening it up to fit DCC into it at some point would have been like taking the whole thing apart and I'd have to solder it up again. So my point is, it's there's too much of a variable in kit building of locos for me. You know, scenics and stuff, that's a different story. I think that we'll get into that later.
We'll cross that. Yeah.
For loco side of things, it's certainly not something I'd want to venture into. I like consistency. I like knowing what I'm buying has some kind of return policy. God forbid if I have to send it back to the UK. But you know, it's there. It's a struggle, right, Dan?
Yeah,
a struggle. But yeah, I think that's kind of where I land on the whole kit built locos. I love to look at them. Great to see stuff running, particularly like the O gauge kit built stuff is amazing to see. Like, because those guys really do spend time on them. And that World of Railways, I think his name's Tony. I forget his surname. You know, he builds a couple of his locos, and they're really super smooth runners in Double O, but not something I'd get into myself.
Is that Tony Wright at Little By Them?
That's it.
Him and a few others. They built all of his loco. Like a lot of his locos are built or modified, ready to run kits with other bits in there.
Adjustments.
They are fantastic, which is amazing.
Thanks.
No, I mean, I completely valid insights. You know, as always, it's, you know, you're a ready to run guy, and that's completely fair enough. You've got your own experiences. I too lean towards the side of ready to run. I think it's just safer. You know, for a lot of people, for a lot of new modelers, it's just safer. But I cannot lie. I will be kit building a locomotive at some point this year. It will happen. And I will be starting this year.
Done by 2028.
Yeah, tune in 2030 to see James halfway finished complete model.
And he's going to start making the boiler tubes tonight.
Oh yeah. It's not gonna be done until I'm 60. Don't worry,
James. Don't make these promises. Hey, like people are. But we have a captive audience here now. So
it will start, and by start I mean I will buy the kit.
That's the beginning.
It's always fascinated me. It was actually what really got me back into the hobby. You know, I've got a friend that I spoke to, and he's got his own stuff and everything, and I was like, yeah, you know, it's all right. You know, it's all very expensive and everything. And then I saw an outside framed Great Western Bulldog in 4mm that was kit built. It was a Martin Finney kit built by Martin Blackwell. He's a very prominent kit builder on the Great Western modeler scene, and it was absolutely stunning in 4mm, absolutely stunning down to the nearest detail. And I just thought that was it. Like I fell in love with kits because it was stuff that was not attainable in ready to run and is likely never going to be attainable in ready to run. And I completely understand the trepidations of, you know, you have no idea buying secondhand whether or not you're going to get a good locomotive or a bad locomotive or something like that, you know. And I do it all the time. I scour through eBay and I think to myself, that niche item looks great and it could look great, but is it just going to be a 200 quid rabbit hole that I drop down on, you know? Because I'll want to DCC fit it. I'll probably want to DCC sound fit it. It might end up needing a new motor. I might burn out everything while I'm trying to run it. You know, I have no idea what's gone into it.
That's the fun, though, James.
Well, you'd say that. You say that. So I completely get the trepidation, but I also completely understand the lure of people building these kits. And going through and making these kit locomotives. I really do understand it. But also there's the side of things where people have, you know, up until recently, you know, we've recently just had an announcement of the Saint class being retooled by Hornby. Well, in the past, people, at least in the Great Western scene, were taking multiple different ready-to-run locomotives, building kit-based brass chassis, and kit bashing their own up-to-date versions using ready-to-run materials. And they look absolutely fantastic. So it's amazing what can be done with with a little bit of patience and a lot of time, it seems, and steady hands. I think that might let me go a bit.
Sure.
But I think it's definitely a world in its own. It's 100% a hobby within a hobby. Locomotive kit building in itself is a hobby within a hobby within a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, James, it feels like, frankly, it's one of those hobbies that certainly was perhaps before our time a much more a much bigger hobby.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not to say that we should let it die by any means. It's something that it's a really cool art form. I think there will always be some form of kit building and soldering and all that stuff. But it's important that it carries on because it is a very unique thing, and I found it's almost a very uniquely British thing. There's not a lot of continental guys who do that anymore. I mean, there's always going to be outliers, of course, across all territories. But I think in Britain specifically, it's a very big deal.
Yeah. Well, also I think in the US, especially in the ON scene, the HON scene, things like that, brass and kit built brass models is a massive thing.
I'm gonna weigh in here. Brass modelers in the US are just on a whole nother level of meticulousness. I think they would look at the stuff James is doing with his track and go, "Oh, that's too easy." I don't know how they are in the UK or in continental Europe or what, but over here, when the guys start moving over to brass models, it's go big or go home time for them. That's the guy that's filled his entire basement and dumped his retirement fund into a massive layout.
It's the same as the Japanese. The Japanese are crazy about their brass building.
Yeah.
I agree with you, John. I agree.
Yeah, I think that leads on to another thing. I've already seen a comment about this, but also locomotive kit building is considerably expensive. Not just in the not just in the sense of financial, but the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you can just get on and rush. Even the white metal kits, some of the white metal kits, you can pick them up for 50 quid on eBay. It's still in kit form, unbuilt, and they'll be perfectly as good as anything else if you put the time into it to do it. But you've got to spend the time to do it, and that's where the commitment and the cost comes into it.
Yeah.
Which is,
you see that in every hobby, though. I mean,
yeah,
Hilton and I are both car guys. I bet Hilton, when you were younger, early 20s, would you say you were more inclined to do your own work on your car?
Yeah, I mean, I did at some point, and that didn't go super well, but
yeah, that's part of the process, though. But now, when I'm older and I've got a full-time job and I've got all these responsibilities, look, I don't want to take 2 hours out of my day to do a brake job. I'd rather just drop the car off, pick it up in a couple hours, and the 2 hours I could have spent doing that brake job, I've done ideally something productive with that time, but realistically, probably not.
You'd be scrolling memes. That's what you'd be doing instead.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't need this exhaust manifold. I'll just cut it off with a hacksaw. It's fine.
But then,
it'll sound great.
as we get older and our time becomes less and less busy, we start gravitating back towards that do-it-yourself, because you've got more time. Or maybe you've mastered the skill of building kits. Because I mean, no matter what you do, your first kit's probably going to look like ass. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's true.
And in your first couple are probably going to be rough, and you're just going to have to keep doing them over and over and over again until you get to a level that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
It's true,
No,
kit building takes practice, and it takes many attempts, and it takes years of just tinkering away at things. I mean, my Tom Roll, it took me weeks to get it built to a state where I was happy with it, and it took me probably longer than that to get it painted to a standard I was happy with, and then it runs like a tin of bloody, I don't know what to call it.
That's not your fault. That's Hornby.
No, it's Dapol.
Oh yeah, okay, it's Dapol. Sorry, Hornby.
Thing, so annoying. But kit building is definitely one of those things that you have to be patient to do. It's and I think that's if Dan was right. There's two people who come into this hobby, and there's those people who have the time to be able to put into, especially locomotive builds. Because I know Matt, who's Maritime and Rail, who's in the chat now, he'll contest to this and say that he's got kits that have taken him about a year to build.
Mm-hmm.
Just to build, it just takes monstrous amount of time to build an O-gauge loco, especially because you can get them with inside working motion as well, which takes even longer, obviously. And then you get the ready to run for the people who just want to run trains, which is absolutely perfectly fine.
Sure.
Right. Quickly, Dan is back. So, Dan, welcome back. Just a quick
meant
question.
to do that.
Quick question for you. So, J. Paul Anderson is asking, who were you referring to? Was it RC Grab Bag?
Yeah, I was just looking at the comments there. That's actually how I ended up accidentally backing out of this lovely browser. I don't know who RC Grab Bag is. I do want to direct Rob's attention to. Let's see, where did it go?
Well, hang on, because we're gonna work our way from the top because we've missed quite a few comments on kit built locomotives.
Well, it did detour a little bit into giving us Top Gear presenter.
No, I just want everybody to be aware that Rob is now Hammond and I am the Stig.
It is suitable for you though, Dan, because you've been faceless until now.
This is true.
Mystery man.
Yeah, but
it's actually Michael Schumacher.
I don't have nearly the level of skill to stand in the Stig shoes, though. So.
Oh, I believe in you, Dan.
Right, let's work our way through some of these comments. So, Andy, from a model railway perspective, where would someone that hasn't got a background in model making get started with kits, wagons, signals?
Pico, hands down.
I can't argue with that. They have some really good kits. The resources as well. Some of the tutorials online, very well detailed from them, very well documented.
Their customer service is really good as well if you get stuck.
And fair pricing too, which is not something you see a lot.
Yeah, they've also brought out those mini dioramas recently, right?
Yes,
that's it looks like a fantastic place to start if you just want to do something just to get used to using the right tools, using glue, using things like that. It doesn't have to be a wagon. I also think that even the plastic wagon kits from Pico are brilliant. They're well thought out. You need to give them a little bit of a sand or a little bit of a like a nail file stick to some of the edges before you're starting to glue them together, and they go together beautifully.
There's not many Pico kits you can't put together with a pair of side cutters, a file, and some plastic glue.
Yeah, completely agree.
And that's the same in all the scales, all of them. Even their new wood kits for the 7mm narrow gauge, so good, brilliant to build. And I reckon a beginner could do it easily.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I would also say YouTube. Definitely do some searching on YouTube. There are a lot of modelers out there who have done kits from Scenics. They've done wagons, they've done locomotives, things like that. There's a lot of resource out there on YouTube. Even go and check RM Web. Check the forums and things like that. There's a lot of well documented stuff out there on any of this stuff. And ask questions. Ask questions from the community. People will be more than happy to provide opinions. You'll ask 10 questions and you'll get 11 answers back. But definitely go out there and push yourself forward. So yeah,
we will always try to help.
The Metcalf building kits are also pretty beginner friendly.
Agreed.
And they're extremely cheap. You mess one up, whatever. It was $8. You can start over.
Yeah, good point.
You can use that. You can use that kit that you've just messed up as for something else. You could use the bricking for like platform edging or whatever, couldn't you?
Yeah.
So
I think Metcalf intentionally includes extra materials in all of their kits. I've got a small collection of spare Metcalf parts, and one of these days I'm just going to sit down and see what I can make with all of it.
That sounds pretty cool, to be fair.
So I'm actually going to produce the first shout out of our stream. So I'm going to shout out Walls Rail on YouTube. It's a guy. He's got 8.9 thousand subscribers, 212 videos, and a lot of his builds are, well, a lot of his videos are kit builds or kit modifications, things like that. Very, very highly detailed, step-by-step guides on how he's doing things, and it's just a really good watch in general. So a lot of conversions, a lot of taking. You can get detail packs for certain things. He does a lot of those where he takes a ready-to-run model and adds a detail pack. Things like that.
Nice.
So definitely go give Walls Rail a watch through for sure.
That's pretty cool.
Cool. Let's work our way through quickly. We've got Yorkshire Railways with a 1, 2, 3-parter here. So on my childhood layout that it was in my nan and granddad's, I didn't have a budget for ready-to-run scenery, but did have an old Hornby catalogue. I would say how much I wanted something, and my granddad would overnight build and paint it. For example, a petrol station, station buildings, diesel depots, shops, church tunnels, etc. However, as an adult, I don't trust my skills yet, so would prefer to buy laser cut kits and start there, as I don't mind painting, but I don't trust myself to build yet. So actually, this is something that we will probably get onto in a few moments' time. Laser kits are becoming very, very prominent. I know Hilton, Rob, and I were having a brief discussion on this earlier today, some purchases that I've made today. So we will definitely get onto laser cut kits very, very soon. Russell, one of the major issues is getting working chassis if building it yourself. Better to use ready to run. I see a lot of people preferring to use ready to run and then using white metal kits for bodywork. That is a very common practice.
Just don't use the Dapol B4. Never use Dapol B4.
Matt, Australian HO is pretty hit and miss for ready-made and kits. It's either expensive or non-existent and terrible. I can imagine. I'm not too familiar with the Australian scene, so we'll have to take your word for it. But if you can jump in the Discord, we'd love to hear some more. Honestly, we really would like to get some insight on some of these other bits, Matt.
Matt's in the Discord.
I know he's in the Discord, but I want him to go talk about it.
Okay, fair enough.
This is the problem with having multiple people across multiple things. You don't have the same names everywhere.
Sure.
Kit built locos are great. I own several Lawrence scale model coaches, and they are in a league of their own. I have seen Lawrence scale model stuff all over the place, and I keep thinking, is it worth the price? Tell me, is it worth the price?
Normally, the higher the cost of the kit tends to result in a higher quality.
Not necessarily, I would say. Hilt has died.
In O gauge, coming from me in O gauge, that is normally the case because you can get that 2800 I was talking about earlier that I was looking at on Antics.
Yeah,
that's one of the cheaper tender engine kits, and everybody I've asked has said that kit is god awful because the bits warp. Yeah, you spend most of your time trying to put the parts right before you can do anything with it, and then you struggle to put it together because it doesn't fit right. Whereas you go to the higher end kits, I can't remember what they're called, MTH, I think, or something like that. And apparently their kits go together like Lego, just with a soldering iron instead of just push fit. But it in road gauge especially, it depends which company and how much you really pay for it.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. We'll go for one last one and then we'll start moving on. Russell, we could never achieve that finish that you get from modern manufacturers. Look at the standard of, say, the Dapol 68. There's no way I could get even close. Yeah, it's 100% 100% real these days. You know, if you were going to be able to get to that level of detail, it would take you a lot longer than it is to tool up, I think, an actual locomotive.
Again, I think that comes with experience, though, and depends on the kit you get. Because if you say you get a decent kit and you build it, and then you get, say, someone like Emperor's Path to paint it for you, that loco is going to look as if it was bought from a shop.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some of my my Broadway Limited T1 back there, it has writing on it that you cannot read without a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
You're not doing that by hand. I don't.
That's
quality. Okay, you know what? There are those people that like carve things into toothpicks, so maybe they could do it. But like, that's infinitely beyond my scope of talent. Like, there's
that
just no
label
way.
Can be expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things. Getting the smaller, tinier details on those kind of models. If you're doing it yourself, it's a labour of love rather than just getting it on the layout, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the people who build, say, there's this person. I don't know whether you've probably seen it, Dan, on Facebook on one of the Engage. I think it's the Engage forum or one of the Engage pages where he actually built a LNER P2.
Yes.
And it was, and he built that from scratch, and it's beautiful. Like, details are so fine, and I honestly, if I could build something like that in O gauge, I'd be impressed. But to build it in N gauge, that's just next level.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's definitely some people out there that have the patience and the skill ceiling to do that, but I don't fall into either of those categories myself.
You're losing the plot at your Union Mills, aren't you?
James, on the other hand, listen. We're not going to get into my thoughts on Union Mills right now because it's a very popular brand, and I'm not ready to be nailed to a cross yet. So,
let's save that for a stream on its own, shall we?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right. So let's move on from locomotives, and we can move on to, I think, wagons is probably the biggest section that we're going to be talking about. But first, we're going to welcome Hooterton Model Railway in. Thank you very much for joining us, Charlie. And then we've got Spring Rail as well. Thank you very much for joining us. Yeah, I mean, so I'll kick this one off because I think wagon kits is something that's very, very close to my heart. So it's really what got me thinking about what I wanted to model, how I wanted to model. You know, I didn't want to have a load of ready to run stuff.
Asking to come back in.
I can hear some knocking at the door.
Hello, you're over
what
there
the hell?
now.
What, did I get banned? What did I do?
You disconnected according to my thing. I thought you'd had to run away because you'd broken your other foot or something.
No, I just got more whiskey.
Christ.
Okay.
So
sorry, I'm back.
So yeah, no, that for me, I always when I got back in, I always thought to myself, I'd love all of the stock to be kit built, you know, because it's cheaper these days. You know, you can pick up your brand new ready to run wagons these days are going for 30 odd quid, you know, for a highly detailed Rapido or a Cura scale wagon. And yeah, okay, you can still get the 10, 11, 12, 20 odd stuff that are semi-detailed or not detailed at all. But you can pick up decent kits that have been exactly the same for the last 20 years and have been good detailed kits for the last 20 years for 12 to 18 quid. You know, and yeah, okay, you got to spend a bit of time and you got to do a bit of fettling, but you know, as we say, a hobby within a hobby. For sure.
Absolutely.
So for me, kit building wagons is essential to the hobby. I think everybody should do it at least once, if not multiple times.
Well, and
Because there's
with
so much.
wagons, you can actually save money with kits, whereas with locomotives, you're kidding yourself if you think you're saving any money by doing it yourself.
True.
True, Dad. True.
Well, I've got 2 wagons here. One's kit built, one's bought from the shop.
Oh, here we go.
One was 40 quid, and the other one was 25. Can you tell which one's bought from the shop?
Top one's bought.
All right, Hilt. Cheers for that.
I'm just.
He's
I thought
answering
you
the
were asking
question.
me and everyone here.
But
Let's see the undersides.
oh, hang on, that's got something in it.
There's the giveaway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in fairness, if those 2 are on a
They're
layout,
good.
you wouldn't
Yeah.
even notice,
Yeah.
would you?
Yeah, I agree. I
Exactly.
agree.
In a rake, they look absolutely fine, and that you know, if you can, kit building is a very cheap way to make a rake, and it's a wagon, so no one's going to look too closely at it.
Well, that's and that's the other thing as well, is like I think wagons and rolling stock get a lot less of the eye than locomotives do. If you make a kit locomotive and you do something wrong with it, even if it's innocuous to you and you don't care, somebody is going to notice it and somebody is going to call it out. Whereas with
But
the
we don't
wagon,
care about them.
oh yeah, we don't care about those people. That shouldn't care about those people. You model for you, not for somebody else. But with the kit, nobody will care. You care, and as long as it runs and as long as it looks like a wagon, I think you're solid. Coaching stock, on the other hand, is another money pit in itself. For sure, is another money pit in itself.
Coach kits cost as much as the ready to runs in some cases, don't they?
If not more, if not considerably more. But they do look rather good if you do them properly, and that's another thing, is if you do them properly.
It's another minefield like locomotives, though, isn't it, coaches? Because they come with a lot of details, just like the engines do. It depends on how much time you're willing to put into building the kit.
Yeah, completely agree. I have a slow growing pile of grey shame.
Rob, how big is the 40K pile of shame right now?
I don't actually have any 40k pile of shame. I've got
He's
one
lying.
grey
He's
tank.
lying. It's like downstairs in a basement or in a
Yeah.
box or something. He just forgot about it.
Well, funny you should mention that, to be fair, because I actually sold all of my Warhammer 40k to pay to come and see Hilt last year.
Oh.
Wow,
But that's all
great,
I've got
Chef.
left unpainted.
Oh, that's so sweet. I didn't know you did that. Oh. And
I
I
did.
was so sick.
He was
I
saying
was so sick.
he was saying it out of
Shame.
spite.
But my pile of shame at the moment in regards to model railways is fairly decent, actually. It's quite lengthy. I've got 2 locomotives, 2 coaches, all the wagons to paint, and lots of buildings.
So you're going to
That's
have
the
plenty
best
to
part.
talk about kit-wise.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've got so many different kits on the go and from different places, and there are a few manufacturers that really stick out, but I won't talk about those until we get to the buildings bit and the scenery.
Ah, fantastic. Well, you've got lots on your plate, haven't you? So
Yeah.
I'm curious. How's the N-gauge wagon kit scene? Is it purely Pico? Are there other manufacturers doing wagon kits?
I haven't looked into it too super far. I had just started getting into smaller rolling stock kits right before Shapeways shut down. I ordered 4 of these 2-axle coach kits, and they all sit on a Pico brake van chassis. They all work. I do have a Pico brake van kit that I put together.
Those N-gauge kits only tend to be coming like 6 pieces, don't they?
Yeah, there's
Something like that.
not much to them.
They normally
Which-
click together as well, for the most
Yes.
part.
The one thing I would say, it feels like the Pico kits are more flimsy than actual Pico ready to run wagons are. They definitely have more flex to them anyway. I don't know if flimsy is quite
Which is
right, but
not a good thing, right? Surely.
I think it's just that they're built to a cheaper standard, aren't they? Because obviously to make them affordable and make them.
the wife says hello.
Hmm.
Hi, Jess.
Well, yeah, and I mean the nice thing about N-gauge is like if you wanted to have a rake of like 57 plank wagons, you could do that. A decent locomotive is going to be able to pull those. So when you start talking about, you know, a single unit in quantities of 50, that gets very expensive very fast. So if you can get a kit for like 6 pounds as opposed to, geez, what do the assembled ones go for? Like 13 pounds? I know it's very expensive compared to O-gauge. So what's the so let's stay with the 7 plank wagons because I think all of us have at least one of those. What is the cost savings between, you know, building it yourself versus buying it ready to run? Because for N-gauge, it's like around 50% off if you do it yourself.
I would say it's about 15 quid in between the ready to run variant and the kit built because you can pick up a 7 plank Slaters or Pico Dunder's kit for 25 quid, and you can get them from Rails for like 40. I think they go for these days, the wagons. So yeah, it's night and day really.
It's sort of similar between Double O. You can pick up a kit for about 15 to 20 quid, whether that's from Cambrian or Pico or you know, any of the above. You can get them slightly cheaper if you go, you know, secondhand on eBay unbuilt. And I think you can get Bachmann ones. The Bachmann ones are going still for like 25 quid on Rails. I think Rapido have come out with a 7 plank recently that's, you know, in the 30s. So there's plenty of option, you know, and it also depends on the level of quality that you want to buy the ready to run versus, you know, the kit form, which will be whatever quality you put into it. So because that's the other thing is you don't have to take a kit for face value. You can take the kit that's there and all the bits that you've got to it, but then you can add your own details. You know, you can make your own tweaks. You know, brass rods, do your W irons. You know, do you want it suspension on it? You know, there's a massive rabbit hole to go down on that end.
Well, yeah, the one thing I heard the other day on the Discord was I think it was from Annie who buys those Dapol static kits and puts wheels up, puts them so they can roll. Never heard of that one before, but that's a really good way of getting a cheap rake because I think those kits go for about less than £10 a go, don't they?
Do they?
I don't know.
Don't ask me.
You're the double O gauge guy. Come on.
Yeah, we've got 2 of you for Christ's sake. Come on.
Yeah, come on. What are you?
Don't point. Don't look at me.
You're
But no, I
even the kit build guy.
Shh. I think it's safe to say that when it comes to wagons and carriage kit building, that it's night and day. You know, both sides have their following, and it's all about price. I think.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the whether or not you want to spend the time and the money. I noticed, Hilt, that we haven't asked you about your kit build. Have you got any kit built wagons on your layout yet?
No, I do not. In fact, rolling stock is, I think, probably the bane of my existence. Just because I'm terrible. I'm like, you guys know, I've bought like so many locos, and like I have absolutely nothing to pull, and it's kind of embarrassing. It's something that I've kind of focused on a little bit more lately, but I'm not interested in building a wagon, dude. I'm a 21st century model railway guy. Just give me the stuff, let me buy it. I don't want to build it.
Who in the chat wants to see Hilt do a video on building a kit?
Oh,
Me.
I will send him the kit.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
No, it's being done. That's it. It's being done.
I'm not building a kit under duress and making a video about it.
If we can get Hilton to 10,000 subscribers by Christmas, we will get him to build a first order TIE fighter on stream.
Okay, well, that's not going to happen. So happy, sweet, good.
It's his favorite Star Wars faction, the First Order.
No, oh, Dad, stop it. We're not doing this, Dad. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
What are you scared of, Hilt?
I'm scared of actually building something from the sequel trilogy that I have no interest in, and Dan knows this very well.
Look, you know exactly what you're doing.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
He said the thing.
Said it once.
He said
I said it once.
Okay, right. Let's have a quick look at some of the modeling related comments that have been in the chat, because it's very heavily whiskey oriented this week.
I love it. That's my boys. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
I'll be drinking whiskey next week.
Next week. So Aaron says, with narrow gauge, it's mostly kit stuff, either plastic or 3D printed. Heck, even etched brass or laser cut wood. Yes, but with the conversations that we've had, it sounds like absolute hell. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine working. I couldn't imagine working in 009. You know, with etched brass. I don't think I could stomach it.
I think working with brass in those scales is going to, you know, how do you hold the bit? It just seems like. I mean, I've seen a few of George Williamson's videos, and what he does is absolutely amazing stuff he does, and I just really admire the patience.
Yeah,
George
completely agree.
He's amazing. I would love if we could get George on here for like a guest stream at some point, because he is
absolutely. I'd love to.
He's inspirational, absolutely inspirational.
I'll actually tell you what. I'm actually going to be meeting him in June at the Shrewsbury Model Railway exhibition, so I'll try and talk him into it.
Yeah,
there you go. Then
use your charm, Rob.
Okay, that might go the opposite way, but might scare him off.
Just disappear off scene. Rob, a question for you. How's the stray boiler?
Hasn't moved. I've been doing track work. I've had my new points arrive today, so my priority is to get all the track working and wired now before I continue with anything else.
Hilton, I'm going to call Aaron out and tell him that he probably hasn't watched your latest video. Make a wagon load. Make it like a load of whiskey barrels and beer crates.
So I feel like he's saying because I read that he might make a wagon load. Like a load of whiskey barrels and crates. I think my sponsor for that is here this evening. Bill is in the chat, I believe. Bill sent me a 48DS Ruston And it came with whiskey barrels, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It runs like the clappers. I've got it right here. It's right in front of me. It's like in my direct line of sight because it's
How gorgeous.
absolutely awesome, these Rustons. This is the second time, James, that we've picked them up on stream and been like, Rustons are so good.
Rustons are so cool.
Can you
They're
imagine
gonna
one of
be the
them in
mascot.
Engage?
Yes, we've got them in O. We need them in N.
Yeah, Dan, there you go.
Shunting
Dan,
Dan
what with
needs to
mascot.
build a Ruston.
I think the smallest locomotive I have in N is a 1400, and yeah,
Toby?
no, Toby's bigger.
You can get
okay.
a LMS Pug in Engage,
Yeah.
Really?
which is
Wow.
tiny. I've seen it. It's you have to use a pair of tweezers to pick it up.
Oh my days.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess Z scale stuff runs okay, so
That's
size
mainly
shouldn't
because
really matter that much, should it?
Z gauge
Sure.
tends to be magnetized to the track as
Mhm.
well.
Fair
Help
enough.
with its adhesion.
Right, let's carry on way through this. No, that's whiskey. That's whiskey. Too much whiskey.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of whiskey.
definitely
Chorlington
not.
Station Model Railway. Hello, welcome. Thank you very much for joining.
Now that
us.
I've said
Pleasure to have
Z,
you.
aluminum.
Oh no!
No,
Oh no!
Oh my
Zebra.
God, Dan, why would you do that?
What have you done, Dan?
sidewalk,
Aluminum.
semi truck.
Okay, so I think we can agree that wagons and carriages are a bucket in themselves, and I think it's one of those buckets that's actually a lot more easily accessible. I think it's a great way to get into kit building is to grab yourself a cheap wagon kit and just
It's
have
a
fun with
gateway
it.
drug.
Like my first one
It's a gateway
sucks.
drug.
It 100% is. My first one sucks. And I bought 15 more after this, so there you go.
You can only get better,
Where does it
AJ.
belong? Dan, where
James,
does
I
that
feel like
belong?
we're ignoring an elephant in the room, though, because your entire layout is scratch
We're
built.
getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there.
This is like we're building up to the crescendo of this, Dan. It's like James is gonna just tell us how slow he is. Captain Slow.
Hence James. Okay, so now the biggest area of I would think DIY versus ready to run, where actually the scale tips very far into DIY, is scenics. That's your
Can you help?
buildings, your trees, your everything, honestly. And yes, we're gonna start with Hilt, because as you can see behind him, he's got Mount Doom in the process.
Mount Doom. I like it. That could
Or
work.
Dune.
That could
Mount Dune.
work. Mount Dune.
Yeah,
Mount
Mount
Dune.
Dune.
I need to put like the eye of, I don't know, William Wallace at the top of it.
Just a big burly man yelling Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah, so what let's get some insight from you, Hilt, because you have obviously a bit more experience than I would say, at least me. And I don't know, Rob, how much scenery do you have on your layout, Dan?
He's got a fair bit.
I've got embankments. I've got platforms. I've got.
there
But
you go then.
it's shit. Sorry, the can't shouldn't swear. But it's
Oh
shit.
no!
It wasn't an F bomb.
You can say it on BBC, so you can say it on YouTube.
It's after 9 o'clock. It's all good.
So yeah, what would you say is your opinion on DIY scenery? Like, give us your insight.
We're talking about me, right?
Yeah, we're
Sorry,
talking about you.
I was just replying to the Mount Doom thing, so I was a bit lost. So here's the thing. Scenery is a bit of a challenge for me, and I'm sure Dan might not have the same problem, because I would assume his hobby shops are pretty well stocked. in comparison to mine. Down here in little old South Africa. Oh, no, not. Okay. Okay, so Dan has the same problem as me then. Great. So down here in little old South Africa, scenery is pretty hard to come by, especially kits. So if I want something specific, I either have to order it, and usually that involves including it with a loco purchase, because then it becomes a viable purchase for me. Otherwise, just shipping, you know, a station, a laser cut station or something like that, it just isn't doable. I fortunately do have a Bachmann contact here, so I can order, you know, Bachmann and Pico Scenics. And I've done a lot of that myself. I think I've had to get pretty creative with scenery as a whole, especially just being not having that kind of access to stuff that you guys do. So, you know, I'll approach anything almost. I've got HO portals, tunnel portals on my layout. I've got, you know, Friteshi stuff from Brazil on my layout, because it's what I have access to and what's feasible and cost effective for me. I've used Pico's laser cut kits recently. I obviously picked up a station kit from them because I needed a Highland station. Previously, I used Metcalf on my first layouts, and I found that while it's really good, and I agree with Dan, what he said earlier, it's a really great way to get into scenics. It just doesn't have the depth of field that I'm kind of going for my second time around. Doesn't have that, you know, I mean, it's two-dimensional, really. So it doesn't have that. Whereas the Pico laser cut kits as a DIY kit is something that was very appealing, very easy to build, a lot of fun to build. I wouldn't go out of my way to go buy a Bachmann scene craft kit or a Hornby, what do they call them? Scaledale. I'm not interested in buying a ready built kit. I like the sort of individuality of building your own kit and making it your own. So I you know, in that regard, I think they're pretty cool. I'd buy more. They're fairly inexpensive, especially the Picos, the laser cut stuff. And then when it comes to, you know, just doing scenery and stuff like that, I've recently ordered a radio mast that was a 3D print built by someone in the UK. I chucked it in a box to come over here, and I should be getting that in the next couple of weeks. Wow. I think the 3D world has opened up a lot of options, stuff that you wouldn't particularly get from major manufacturers. Like I was literally looking for a specific mask on a radio mast. Wow, this whiskey it's arriving. I was looking for a very specific radio mast on the West Highland line, because they use the radio token system on the West Highland line, and I wanted something to sort of complement what I'm kind of building. And I found that mast on eBay, and it was like £10, and I picked it up, and I can't wait to see it because it looks amazing, and it fits exactly what I need. It's not a generalized broad kit. It's not a broad station that you could just plonk into, you know, the Midland region. So yeah, on that front, I love the DIY element in the scenic space. And it allows me that room to make it more customizable too, or more of my own.
Yeah, no, some good points. Dan, what are your thoughts on DIY ready to run?
Well, I'd like to address something Hilton brought up, and I don't know if maybe this is also a problem for you too, James, since you don't live in the UK. So it's not that I don't have model shops here. It's that the model shops that I do have are all very American heavy. Like I can go out and buy a station kit and drive back with it the same day, but it's not going to look like a British station. It's going to look like an American station. Another thing I run into is because all of my track is Kato. a lot of my my roundhouses for my turntable. Those are Japanese style roundhouses, and like it's going to be next to impossible for me to make those look British.
You did good, Dan. They look good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly care, but I can understand how someone maybe who has a more patriotic connection to the GWR might look at this and go, why is this American using Japanese roundhouses for what's supposed to be a Great Western Railway? And why is Big Boy parked on a siding when he would just sink right to the bedrock on British rails? Like, you know, so it doesn't necessarily bother me so much. Something else Hilton brought up about buying pre-built buildings. So I kind of fell for this trap where I got a couple of kit buildings, not kilt buildings, and I put them together. They turned out kind of so-so. They look good from a distance, but when you get up close to them, you can see the imperfections. So when Rails of Sheffield put a bunch of their N-gauge Scenecraft stuff on sale, I grabbed some of them thinking, you know, they'd be pretty decent quality, but like this little, I think they call this a countryside workman's cottage or something. You can see extra glue like all over this thing. Somewhere I've got that single track servicing shed, and it's literally got somebody's fingerprint like permanently on it. There's nothing I can do to get rid of that without damaging the paint. And then, well, anyway, so it kind of defeated the purpose of me, you know, buying something that was pre-built to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm the only person here that uses pre-bedded track. So I kind of feel once again, I'm on the more casual side of this. So I guess the scenery doesn't really matter as much to me. I haven't had a good experience with my scenery yet. I did learn some lessons the hard way that I hope will look better on the next layout. But like, there's a reason I haven't really done anything to my layout in over a year now, and it's because I don't really care. I can run the trains. I can make the trains do the things I want them to do. The setting that they're doing it in is, well, it's a tertiary thought for me. It's not even, yeah. The one thing I'll say about scenery, and I'll bring it up every time I get an opportunity, if you're making tunnels, make sure you can get in your tunnels.
Yeah.
I cannot stress enough how important that is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dan.
Yeah,
I agree with you. You know, Dan, that being said, though, like, you know, your layout, I think, is absolutely brilliant. It is genuinely really, really good. Anyone who's seen Dan's layout on his videos, like it is genuinely an amazing little layout. I know you've had your issues with it, specifically tunnels and stuff like that. But even if scenery was a tertiary thought for you, it looks really good.
I flew too close to the sun. I tried to put too many things onto it.
That does happen. But I mean, that's how you learn, right? I mean, I feel like exactly the same way about my first one. I think yours and mine were very similar in the first one.
I loved your first layout, Hilton. I will die on that hill.
Appreciate you, bro.
literally, it was a massive incline.
Yeah, it literally was.
Yes, rest R.I.P. Done Roman Mark 1. Yeah, no, I completely get that sentiment. Yeah, it's intriguing. I don't know. I don't know about engaged scenery. You know, I know there's a lot of things that you can do, like DIY is a massive thing. You know, and you know, you've got lots of different products all over the place from multiple different manufacturers, and it can get confusing sometimes. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do DIY. You know, like I am hoarding a lot of stuff right now in pure preparation for scenics. because of articles that I've read, books, things like that, forum posts. Who would have thought that you can use coffee grounds, dried out coffee grounds, or
I think,
walnut
yeah,
shells,
yeah.
or things like that. It's something that doesn't pop into your mind, and then you read it somewhere, and then you read it somewhere else, and it just and it becomes very common. So, and I've had to resort to that because, like yourself, Dan, like yourself, Hilton, I am in exactly the same boat. So, I have access to European stuff. So when it comes
Yeah.
to things like flock and scatter and things like that, I have Knock, which is probably one of the biggest brands that you can get, and it's really nice quality stuff for scatters and things like that. But
Agreed.
all the buildings are German, all the buildings are or Austrian or something like that. Nothing here is British,
Sure.
and it's all stupidly expensive. Like the modeling scene here, even some of the modelers that I've spoke to here, they're even more frivolous than I am because it is just really expensive.
And I think that's probably a good thing, James, in many ways, is because it I think those of us who are a little bit constrained with bringing stuff in and purchasing stuff, that's ready to run, not ready to run, but ready made, let's say.
Yeah.
It actually pushes us to be a little bit more inventive with what we do.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think I used Italian herbs on one of my bushes on Dun Roman version 1, and it made my whole room smell really weird. Like really weird. Not a good smell, not like like mama's cooking kind of smell. It smelled really weird. But you can get inventive, you can do fun stuff with it. So, while we're constrained by it, I think it's a good thing. And maybe, people who are a bit more frugal, I'd love to know in the chat, guys, if you've done something strange with, if you've been pretty inventive with something, I'd love to hear about it. Because, I think we all think about these things, like, how could we do this? How could we do that? It's a curious thing.
Yeah, I'm very curious as well. I do want to understand because it's a massive rabbit hole. And, we've used that term a lot because when it comes to anything DIY, it can be an absolute massive rabbit hole. And Scenics is exactly one of those. I'm going to really call out a lot of people here, and people might not like me for this after. But you can cop out and you can do a standard summer layout. You can cover your entire layout in green, and it will look good. It will look good, which is great. But there's so much more to do with it. A little bit of thought, a little bit of color, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you can create something so unique. And I think
this country only gets 2 weeks of that kind of sunshine a year, so it's not really prototypical.
And that's why everybody does it, to keep the summer here.
They go up to their loft and experience summer all year round.
Yes, there you go. Bradley, thank you very much for joining. Lovely to have you. So Harry is saying that he uses aquarium charcoal or active carbon for coal loads. Cheapest chips and look good. Yeah, I've heard this one before.
Top shout, Harry.
A really good shout there, Harry. Thank you very much. Hill, I'm going to follow a few of the comments from Russell and Aaron and a few other people here, and I'm going to say I absolutely love your ballast, dude. It looks so damn good. It really looks so damn good. And yes, I would say that is 100% DIY. You've taken products, and you've taken products that are supposed to be used singular, and you've made your own out of it with other materials, other bits like that, and it looks fantastic. You should be really happy with it.
Sure. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think I mentioned it in my video, but it was just too expensive. Somebody had suggested a really good in-scale ballast. I think one of the problems this is a slight tangent, forgive me. But one of the problems with Double O is that Woodland Scenic's medium ballast is too big for Double
Way
O.
too
It just
big.
looks wrong. And I think that in-scale ballast for Double O is actually the right way to go. And if you wanted in-scale / gauge ballast, you ideally need a very, very fine grit, right? Like very fine.
I use double O gauge ballast on mine.
Well, there you go. That's
There you are.
exactly the point. Like, it feels like we're all like a step too far ahead of what we should be, because you would assume medium ballast means HO00, but actually fine ballast is probably more correct. But even that being said, the Woodland Scenic's fine ballast is too fine for Double O. So it's like there's a happy median somewhere there. I don't know. But I appreciate your kind words. It took a while to get the mix right. I think I wasted quite a bit of ballast because there was no ways I was going to go separate it after my first 3 bad mixes. But once I got it right, I was very happy with it. So I'm absolutely stoked about it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it looks insane, dude. It really does look insane. So yeah, you have to give yourself a pat on the back for that. And your mountains as well, dude. Like they really do look grand. I'm slightly envious.
It does look like a snowy
Very
mountain at the
snowy.
moment.
Yeah. It looks like Scotland in winter right now, but it'll change next week. It'll be a different color, I promise.
Ooh, sounds good. Can't wait to see it. But yeah, I mean, so there are a lot of things that you can do. Go out and read. There are a lot of good publications, a lot of good books. Pick up some magazines. You know, every so often the standard magazines have got brilliant articles on using household things. There you are. Modeling Great Western Branch Lines by Chris Ford, another massive, brilliant publication.
That's cool.
And check out YouTube as well. Like we've already
so
mentioned.
Cool.
We've already mentioned him once before. George Williamson. He's using actual moss, you know, for bushes and things like that. You know, making bracken out of it as well. Like, and it's stupidly convincing. It was so good to see, you know. So, you know, go and pick up some slate, like you guys are mentioning already. You know, use that. You know, the world is literally your oyster. You can take the world and literally put it on your layout to create a smaller version of it. That's how amazing it can be.
Yeah, agreed, James.
So should we get to the elephant in the room?
Flying Scotsman.
No, that's the other elephant in the room.
No,
okay.
Carpet layouts.
No. Ready to run track work. Ready to run track work.
Oh, James's big hurrah! It's coming, guys.
This is between you and Dan, this one, because Dan's quite an avid collector of the ready-to-run stuff, isn't he? With the Cato stuff, and you build your own.
Actually.
So what's quite disappointing is that James and I actually share quite a few things in common. We have a lot of similar interests, a lot of similar opinions on things. When it comes to our philosophy on train tracks, though, we could not be more different. Yeah, because I just want it to work. You know, I don't really care what it looks like, or you know, if the tie spacing is, you know, prototypical or whatever. And then you have people like James, who has a small labor union on his desk that
a load of navies.
Yeah.
I need to get some navies from Modeloo for sure. Like, just have them set up all over the place. Like,
just move them with your layout as it progresses.
Yeah, as it's progressing. Yeah. Like, yeah. No, I completely get that, Dan. And do you know what's even worse is I've been slowly going over and over and over and over in my head, like, do I just want to pack it all in and just go and buy the damn stuff? And every time I come back to, I will instantly regret it.
unless you buy Bullhead, just saying, it looks
Well,
pretty good.
I mean, it looks fantastic. It does look fantastic.
But
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's the
It's
actual James. I've said it before. Sorry, I've said it before, but I think the actual effort of being able to say that you literally built your entire railway, literally from the ground up, is amazing. Like that the sense of pride and accomplishment, in the words of EA, is it's pretty special.
I mean, yeah, for me, you know, like I do constantly come back to that. Like, do I just want to get it something running? And one things that a lot of people say when building layouts is get something running as quickly as possible, because otherwise you'll lose
Sound
interest.
advice.
Now, I'm quite lucky that I have someone who is very close to me who has a working layout. So if I need to drill that buzz of, I need to go and run some trains or something, I have that outlet. And that's been very crucial for me to, slack off and not do anything on this. It just so
Sure.
happens that I haven't been there in 3 months. So I've started doing stuff on this. But no, I mean,
You have no choice.
I have no choice. But I'm extremely satisfied with the process. I'm extremely satisfied with the outcome. And I really can't wait to see what it's going to look like when, in 10 years' time, when I might get the last bit done. I can say without a doubt, everybody should try it. Everybody should try it, even if it's just a single.
Tracked enough for me, James. Sorry, mate.
Even if it's
No,
just
I'm good.
a single panel.
Nah.
It's a single panel.
I have enough trouble with Tom Roll.
You know what the insane thing is? I feel bad. I can't remember the guy's Instagram name. I do follow somebody that hand builds his own N-gauge track.
I know exactly what you're on about. Yeah.
And he gets very intricate. Like, yeah, it's insane. I couldn't imagine doing it in Double-O. I don't think you could pay me to do it for N, to be honest.
No, I think he did a diamond crossing, like it was a double slip or something like that in N, like completely soldered up, and it looked like it ran beautifully, and I couldn't even know. I'm nowhere near that, and I have to build one of those at some point down the line. I have one of those in the thing, but for me,
I wonder how long that'll take you to build, James.
Years. Actually, the aim is to print it.
Oh, are you going to print off the chairs already fixed to the sleepers and stuff, and then just thread the rail through?
Yeah, that's essentially what this is. It's terrible view there. You can't get there's no focus whatsoever. But essentially, so that's what I'm working on at the moment is 3D printing chairs that have little plugs. So that's why they're a little bit deeper. And the idea is to laser cut the printout, the template of the turnouts themselves, and just literally be able to plug in all of the places already at the right dimensions and just slide rails in with pre-soldered with pre-soldered droppers. But it's again, it's another rabbit hole. I've mentioned that several times. It's my favorite phrase, a rabbit hole. Down the rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland. But I definitely recommend it. I do see why a lot of people go ready to run. The track work and things like that. It's a lot easier way to get about it, and it gets you running something quick.
That's it. Yeah. If you want to go, if you're not too, if you still want to get things running relatively quick, and you're not too fussed about literally putting the track together and running things, FlexiTrack is definitely a happy medium.
Yeah, for sure. But I also think this whole the whole topic of do you DIY or do you ready to run, it comes down to the simple fact of how do you want to model? What do you get out of the hobby? You know, is your out of the hobby watching? Just you want to get something down, and you want to watch your expensive Class 37s go round and round in a circle.
Yes.
So you lean towards the ready to run. So you lean towards the ready to run. Is your your part of the modeling the the design aspect, the tediousness, anything like that? Is that what you get your thrills out of? Then you hand lay your track for a year and get nowhere. You guys are never going to let me down.
No. We will always be here to heckle.
Good. We'll watch this space, because the mojo that you and this has given me is pushing me in the right direction. So that's good.
I think that's doing it for all of us, which is, this whole project has kind of pushed us all on a bit, hasn't it?
Just a quick one. So Phil, you mentioned definitely need to show more making tracks. So I do have a video on my channel where I go through making a length of track already. So if you haven't seen that already, please feel free to go and have a look at that. So I make this siding here on camera, and I recorded that, just a plain bit of track, and I'm working on showing everybody how I build it completely incorrectly turnouts. Because it's not correct at all. A lot of hardcore, and there are a lot of hardcore track builders. I'm doing it in standard 00. There are people doing it to 18.83 millimeter P4 gauge and have been doing it for 50 years.
What even is that? Just sounds like a load of letters and numbers.
Yeah.
P4. So P4 is Proto 4. So it's actual 4 millimeters to the foot, which comes out at 18.83 millimeters between rails.
Oh, James, too many numbers. Oh no, thank you.
Dealing with numbers all day.
He's going to go do his downscaled HO. So yeah. Okay, so honest question from Aaron for our humble host. What is your project to finish this year? And James, I don't mean a second point.
Shots fired.
I am not going to comment.
But it is actually a second point.
Second point. Yeah.
No, actually, no. So I bought some laser kits today, and I think I would love to get those done. Whether or not the track work gets done, I would love to get those done and set up. Both of the scenic breaks. That's what I bought today. Is both of the scenic breaks for the layout.
Cool. That's very interesting.
Not traditional. One of them is not a traditional scenic break. So I'll leave that. What about you guys?
Go on, Hilt.
Whoa. We have an order here, Rob. It's your turn.
Oh,
Yeah, I was about to say.
I wasn't ready yet. Okay.
Oh, no. You should know this by now, by the way.
Yeah, come
I
on.
wasn't ready. The project I really want to get finished this year, get both of the kit-built locomotives built, painted, running, and also get all my Pico kits built, running, painted. So it's all revolves around kit-built rolling stock.
Nice. Dan?
Well, I have
That's a big
two.
question for Dan.
I'd really like to get started on the O gauge layout for the garden.
Solid choice.
I'm honestly probably more excited about that than I am anything to do N scale. In terms of N scale stuff, I'd really like to get this layout torn down, get the new table built, and if I could get to where I'm at with the old layout, like having some track down, having some ballast down, a little bit of scenery, I feel like I'd be happy with that by the end of the year. Do I think that's going to happen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, we do.
You can do it.
But
We believe in
really
you,
though,
Dan.
I am super excited about the O gauge stuff. I like
Mm.
my YouTube, my train content on YouTube that I'm watching is mostly outdoor stuff for the last couple months. Just because it really is an entirely different operating theater compared to being in a climate controlled, relatively consistent environment year round. There's a lot of interesting challenges and aspects to that whole outside thing, you know.
Yeah, for sure. That's going
I
to be
must say,
insane,
Dan,
Dan.
I'm very, very excited for that, dude. Like, I can't wait to see what you get up to, because like I know American backyards, and boy are they substantial, and I've seen yours, and oh boy, I can't wait.
It's a disaster right now, but hopefully
I
by
know,
the end of the
I know.
summer, it's looking proper. So
We'll
see what I
have to
did.
do a live stream from his garden when
See what I
it's
did
finished.
there.
Agreed. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Outdoor live streams with Dan.
Needs to be done.
No, I'm thinking like a Shunting Yard live stream live from his garden and barbecue.
Oh, I love that. I'll have a fry.
Yeah.
Dan can have a barbecue. You guys can have a grill.
No, we'll just go with the bride because I've heard good things about it.
Oof, it's so good.
Russell, thank you very much for joining us, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, pal.
So yeah, not sure what else we can add to that. I think it's definitely a interesting topic, deciding between DIY and ready to run. Everybody has their own preferences. Everybody has their own, thoughts, feelings. There are some people that swear by kit built, and they've done nothing else but kit built, for 20, 30 years. There are people that even new to the, old from the hobby, not new from the hobby. I mean, that have been around for dinosaurs years, that are still buying ready to run stuff and will do nothing else. So yeah, it's definitely one of those very, very broad topics that everybody has some sort of inkling with. But no, very, very interested to hear your guys' thoughts. It's been an absolute pleasure. Any closing thoughts? Any additional bits that we're sort of thinking about in between us? Any projects potentially DIY or ready to run wise?
I just want to say one thing. If you haven't done any kit building and you haven't thought about doing any kit building, definitely give it a go, because it'll open your eyes and it'll just give you. You'll just get addicted to it.
For sure. And help, we don't mean kit wagon building. We just buildings is okay.
Please.
Buildings is okay. You did a really good job with your one. Do more.
I'd like to see Hilton live stream himself building a Great Bear kit.
Oh my god!
Ooh.
I mean, I do it.
Take a week off work.
I do it. If that's how I get my Great Bear, that's the one loco that I really, really want of the Great Western. I love that Great Bear. I think that thing's
so
awesome.
cool.
My one of ones, man. Like, I love those things. Let's do it. Let's pull the Great Bear.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Right, that's it. We got to scour the internet for a Great Bear kit now. We've got to do it.
But I'm not buying it. You guys are buying it.
I'm fine. I'll chip in.
Dan's fine. Okay, there we go. Sorted.
Christmas present sorted.
No, amazing. Yeah, so I think it's a stupidly broad topic. You can't summarize it in one in one stream for sure. There's so many nuances
James?
to it. Hit me.
The one kind of element that I think is almost a topic on its own is talking about 3D.
Yes,
and the world of 3D and what that kind of opens up to us as modelers, and kind of where it fits in within the space of, you know, what we get from manufacturers like Bachmann or Hornby or somebody else. I think there's a great discussion to be made around how great 3D is for us modelers.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, and it's actually sort of why I tried to leave 3D printing and laser cutting as far into the end of our discussion as possible, because I think they are two completely separate topics on their own. You know, for example, like even like laser cutting has been around for a bit longer than mainstream 3D printing has. And even that is coming into its own. You know, there's a lot more manufacturers, there's a lot more people coming out, there's a lot more detailed stuff coming out in laser kit form for O, N, TT, you know, double O, all over the shop. So definitely want to save 3D printing and laser cut for separate discussions. And I think those two discussions are going to be ones that we want to have someone in to discuss with us, somebody who is around that field, you know, whether that's the gentleman from CB Models, you know, whether that's whoever, you know. It's going to be one of those topics where it'd be nice to get I would say an expert in the field in to discuss it.
Yeah,
for sure, because otherwise we're just going to be talking out of our ass for the, you know,
yeah,
for 2 hours. You know,
we
which
have
is
no
what we do
experience,
anyway.
but we're going to talk about it.
You know, we're going to do it anyway. But yeah, I think definitely something to watch out for. So yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to go on. I haven't
Wait,
got
Aaron's
anything
got
else in
one
my
more
mind.
question.
No, he doesn't. What does he have?
Yeah, he does. He does. You got to let him have this one. Shame. He's been so excited for this.
Is it?
Go find it. Go find it. Race of the year.
Is it this
There we
one?
go.
What's finished? My Quarry, James's track work, Hilt's West Highland, Rob's Tom Rolt repairs, or Dan's honestly cool project? I mean, my money is still on me to come before you, Aaron.
I kind of agree. Aaron is really taking his sweet time.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll challenge James here.
Oh.
Who wants to bet that I can get a YouTube video out before James finishes his next turnout?
Oh, come on.
We're putting money on this?
I think we should come up with an interesting
Interesting forfeit.
yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I'm
whoever
willing to sing
loses-
happy birthday in a bathroom and put it on the internet forever. So
That's true.
I really have no shame at this point.
Okay, so whoever loses buys the other person a kit to build.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay. I'll take
All
that
Sounds
bet.
pretty good.
So
All right. Well, I'm gonna go make a
another-
YouTube video. Bye.
I've got to make a second turnout work before you pull out a YouTube video.
James, the problem is here is that it's middle of the day for Dan. He could knock that out this
I was going to
afternoon.
say he's going to do it. He's going to come off this, not go to sleep.
Here comes the Gordon video, the long-awaited Gordon video.
Aside from a 30-minute nap earlier, I've been awake for 22 hours at this point, so it's not happening today. I can tell you that much.
You're on form, Dan.
Can
Even on that much sleep.
Can we set some rules for this YouTube video though? Because he can't just go and upload like a 10-second video of him farting in the toilet.
No, it has to be like a proper Dan
It's got to be
video.
like a proper like locomotive overview or layout update or something like that.
At least 15 minutes. That's the shortest I can get a locomotive review.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
Okay. All right.
All right.
And well, you know what?
Well, my money's
You know what? I think you and I should stay out of the punishment and award part of this. I think Rob and Hilton should come up with that, and we're totally in the dark about it.
Yeah. Well, let's do that.
okay.
Let's do that. You two think of the punishment reward system.
Okay.
Rob, shall we make an O-gauge loco?
Sorry.
That's no use
We're
to
gonna
me.
make it an O gauge loco. We're gonna make them like really. Their wallets must suffer for this.
Okay. The loser has to buy the winner.
No, we don't want to know.
No, we don't want to
Okay.
know.
We don't want to know. You
We're only
two do that.
joking because that is
Literally-
bank
Oh, I know.
breaking.
That's pure speculation.
Yeah.
It might not be.
Right, okay. I know what I'm doing this weekend then. Or tomorrow. Oh no, I'm out tomorrow. Bugger.
Guess who has tomorrow off?
You're killing me, Dan. You're killing me.
Guess
There
who
you
still
have
probably won't do shit though.
Well, there you have it. What a way to end the first proper, first full-on stream with all four of us in for the entire 2-hour slot. A challenge has been extended and accepted. I've been trying not to mention the flying money pit.
The Flying Scots person.
We did that at 21 minutes, and I was trying not to use the Flying Scotsman as a as a forfeit. I was thinking about maybe I'll do an honest review, you know, a nice review of the Flying Scotsman. I will buy one with my own money.
No, you won't. I know you. You won't
No.
buy a Flying Scotsman.
No, I get somebody else to buy it for me. I'll tell you what though, that the one that was posted on Footplate earlier, it looked like a really nice model.
The
White
one
rims,
version of it.
the white rims and all, it looked fantastic.
White rims. What are we? What are we doing here? White rims?
White rims, white tires, doesn't really matter.
White
it's all the same.
tires. White tires.
White tires, they look really good. But for 200 quid, nah.
Worth it. Worth it.
Is it really though?
Greatest locomotive on the planet. Worth it.
Is it though?
I wouldn't say it's the greatest. Most famous, yes.
No, well, I would argue that Bigboy is more famous, but there are more people in America.
I mean, yes.
True.
Yes.
Ask how many Americans know what a Flying Scotsman is? Outside of the hobby.
Not many.
How many Americans would know what Bigboy is outside of the hobby?
Okay, so we do have a
We're getting into
like
this.
a cultural subset
Yeah, there we
here
go.
of people that are like obsessed with British stuff, which
Like the
I've
royal family.
been accused of. Listen, you guys are great. I like talking to you and hanging out with you.
Here we go.
I pretty much only like
But-
your trains. I'm
Is he
sorry.
breaking up with us?
I'm sorry. You've made some neat guns too.
Are
That's
you breaking up with us?
no,
The
no, not
the
at all.
truth
I'm
comes
just.
out.
I like your trains. I mean, yeah. That's
Dan,
Using
what
the
did
front
you
frame.
think of
there are
Yorkshire
people that
tea,
like,
though?
you know. I actually worked with a girl that was like super into British stuff to like. I would call it a concerning amount. Yeah. We're talking about the kind of person who doesn't speak with a British accent in jest, so she's not disrespecting the culture.
Oh,
Yeah, like it's there's something else going on there. You know what I mean?
you've got to be that way inclined. I must admit. But
On that bombshell.
the elephant. No. Before we leave that, we need to get the bombshell of what did you think of Yorkshire tea? He'll ask this, and I think you missed it. What did you think of Yorkshire tea? And did you do it properly?
Yeah, we actually never got feedback.
We
By
got
the
no
way,
feedback.
we sent
I haven't-
Yorkshire
I
tea
haven't
to
used it yet.
Dan. What?
I am
What?
saving that. I am saving that for a very special occasion.
I mean, other than Rob's birthday, I don't know what could be more special. King Charles's birthday. Sorry, forgot about that.
Rob's birthday.
You'll just have to stay tuned to my YouTube channel and wait and see.
Rob
Not very
sent
nice,
the
is it,
tea.
James? Not very nice at
No,
all,
Rob
that.
sent the tea. James, your birthday is very important too, but
It's
but
the
Rob
same
sent the
bloody
tea.
day. Okay, so we have to wait for Rob's birthday to get a synopsis of Yorkshire tea.
Oh my god! I mean, how could you wait? It's
I
the best
do
thing on the
drink-
planet.
I do drink tea somewhat regularly. It's just it's either peppermint tea or it's spearmint tea. I don't. I get my caffeine from White Monsters.
You might
Sorry,
as well just throw
that's-
our tea in the harbour already. Just
Like
do
a
it
real
again.
man. Don't say that, Rob. You're breaking my heart. Look, if you want to have it, try the Yorkshire tea now. I will send you more to cover the loss. I am willing to do that.
I'm pretty sure I can buy it here. Actually,
That would be amazing. I wish I could buy Yorkshire tea here.
I know for sure I can get Earl Grey. That's
Oh, you
another
don't
big
want
one
to.
for you guys,
There's
isn't it?
no substitute. It's not a substitute for for English breakfast tea. It's not a substitute.
All right. Well, my phone just yelled at me for having low battery. So
Well, actually, we're at that 2-hour mark, so I think we're going to end it off here. Any closing comments from anybody? Or are we all
donate
just,
to your local animal shelters. Even just a bag of food helps.
don't do drugs,
Good
kids.
shout. Don't drink and drive.
Spay and neuter. Never mind.
I got nothing. Yeah, I got nothing.
Wear protection.
He can't contain himself. This is just falling apart quickly in the last 10 minutes. Great. Right, lads. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, guys. In the chat, thank you very much for sticking around with this chaos for the last 2 hours. It's absolute chaos every week, and we absolutely love it. We will get back to you. We will get back to you at the beginning of next week with next week's topic, and maybe Hilt will stop laughing before then.
He's got the whiskey giggles.
Sorry.
All right.
No, never apologize, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll
Peace
see you
out.
guys later.
Bye, Dad.
Bye, guys.
Everybody.